off we go. And like he said, I am the president of the Santa Clarita Valley Computer Club. We've been around since 1987 and down to very few members because, they kind of are at the point where they know everything that they want to use and what makes their life happy with computers. And so I come up with very strange things to show them just to keep their interest a little bit. So no matter how savvy you are, there are certain things that we must deal with when using our devices. It doesn't make any difference whether it's your computer, your tablet, your phone, whatever. And sometimes somebody else knows a different way, a more efficient way, and the light bulb will go on and you'll go, whoa, I think I'm going to start doing that. So just a few tech skills that everyone can and really should be using to make their computer faster, safer, and easy to use. And I like the faster part of it myself. So this is kind of from Bob Gosticchia. I started, he started with this and I joined him. But if you're downloading something, my words, you have to stop and smell the roses. So you decide what you're going to download and then you're going to stop. You're not going to think, okay, now I'll just click here. You're going to take the time to see if there are other checkboxes that are probably pre-checked. That's because the person whose app you are downloading wants to make some money. It's free to you. He doesn't get any money from you. But if you happen to not uncheck some other boxes, he gets a few pennies for them because you downloaded their program and might start using it. It's an advertising thing. And lo and behold, all of a sudden your start menu is taking longer to boot up your computer and you figure out, oh shoot, I didn't look and uncheck the boxes. So that's a given for every single thing that you download, just to make sure you only get what you want. You might get a desktop icon, and what you don't want is you don't want it to turn on when you boot up your computer, because then you're waiting for that to open. So I say, don't forget to smell the roses. Take your time. And this is a graphic from back in the day. I love this. I will use this forever because the one on the right is, literally, this is sometimes what happened when you tried to download something. And this is what the old Adobe Free Reader, because every place you went, it said, so to speak, if you want to download this, you have to use the Adobe Free Reader. Well, all these people in the world were coming up with other free readers that looked just fine, worked better than Adobe Reader, but user groupies were still using it because so many of the websites they dealt with, Adobe Free Reader was the one that they talked about. I got home from my Southwest Tech Conference in San Diego one time, didn't read my email when I was down there, and there was an email from Adobe, and it said, so sorry, our reader has been hacked. You need to, and then fill in the blanks, do this, blah, blah, blah. And I looked at that and I thought, how about that? They got hacked. And I looked at the date when they said they'd been hacked, and it was a couple of months in the past. And I thought, usually you hear about that more quickly than a couple of months later. So I updated and everything, and I got enough, and they got hacked again. I've never used Adobe Reader again. I used one of my choice, and I thought, I have to worry about Microsoft. I'm not going to worry about Adobe. So remember, you know this, just don't go out to some fly-by-night place and think, oh, that looks interesting. A lot of people just swear by Major Geeks. That's the one they use for everything. And if your best friend in the whole world or your favorite relative says you've got to start using this app, and here's where you can get it. And you're going to go, Judy's in my head saying, make sure I go to a reputable place where it's been tested, etc., before I download it. Just in case, just to be safe. Update all of the browsers you use. Edge is my primary one. I use Chrome as the second, and then I use Avast Safe Browser. But take the time and go through everyone, Sync, Manage, Microsoft, whatever is up there now with the latest version, and make sure that you choose everything how you want it. Microsoft has their way. Chrome has their way. We don't care. It's your computer, and you need to customize every single piece of software that you put onto your computer because it's yours, and you want to make it easier, faster, whatever your adjective is before you're using it. Same thing with Chrome. Offer to save passwords. I would never save my passwords on a browser. I've had too many horror stories told me by groups when I give them a presentation. So, utilities, something that in addition to your operating system and everything, most people have their own favorite utilities. They think it's great, the whole 9 yards, and I don't have many. I have a friend, and he is strictly a Windows guy. If it's not, stamped, so to speak, with Microsoft on it, he doesn't use it. So he doesn't use any of these. And he is a super happy camper. I have just a few. Other people have a ton and a half. How do you find out about utilities? You guys have Q&A or time at your SIG when you can talk about stuff. Ask your members. They're the ones that you've known for a long time or not. And you ask, what are you using? Why are you using it? And is it easy to use? And I suggest that you always download like a trial version and give it a go. And if you can't figure it out, that's not the one for you. Remove it, delete it, and try something else because you want something that works for you, even if it's that person's be all, end all. It might not be yours. Are you a courteous person? Do you use bit.ly or down at the bottom, tiny URL to shorten your addresses instead of having a URL, which is a website's address that is 3 lines long in an email? Use a shortener. I started out with bit.ly and I'm back to tiny URL, and it is so cool. It goes from a great big address that goes on forever to a much shorter one. Whoever you send things to will thank you profusely for doing that, because if they are newbies, so to speak, sometimes they can't figure out where in those 3 lines to click, and they'll get back to you and say, I can't open it up. Okay, so make it easy. You might use CCleaner as an extra utility to clean your hard drive or uninstall programs, whatever. They are now affiliated with Norton. iDrive, that I have used iDrive since it almost started. That is my cloud backup. It's in Calabasas, which, so to speak, is just around the corner from me. And I get a kick out of it that it's a homegrown, business. And who knows where my data is? It's probably, any place else but California. But they are very responsive with their help, easy to use. And I have been using this for, like I said, years and years. I supplement it with Malwarebytes. That's kind of my go-to. Every once in a while, I will run Malwarebytes. I don't use their security program. I just run it to see what they find. And what they're looking for are, one of the things is PUPs, potentially unwanted programs. And are they going to do anything? Probably not, but you may as well remove them. My VPN, again, for a gazillion years, is private internet access. It is located in Colorado. And the same person who recommended iDrive recommended private internet access. And it's great. It just works. It just does its thing. And every 3 years, they remind me that I should really pay them a little bit. But when you call, by golly, somebody in Colorado answers. A lot of people are looking for offshore VPNs because they don't want their data shared via a government subpoena. Well, private internet access offers that too in Colorado. Patch My PC is probably my favorite utility. And then there is the tiny URL. So you might use FileHippo or Ninite to update all of your, whatever you have on your hard drive, except for your Microsoft programs, because we all know they keep those up to date. Don't forget to check the box that says update my Office programs at the same time you're updating other things. But that's what I use Patch My PC. I tried FileHippo. I tried Ninite because people said, Judy, you've got to try this, you've got to try that. And then the president of the computer club in Florida wrote an article for, dear member type thing, and he touched on Patch My PC. I could see that he said straight scoop. He knew what he was talking about. I thought, just for grins, I'm going to try it. And I just love it. But again, think about making it easy for you to update all of your apps, not the Microsoft ones. You might not have ever done that. You might have version 1 and they're on version 5 now. And you need to keep everything up to date for security. The bad guys, the bad actors love apps that haven't been updated because somewhere along the line, maybe they found a security flaw. That's one of the reasons that back in the day, Patch Tuesday, by golly, we got a whole bunch of stuff every Patch Tuesday. And the bad guys out there had found vulnerabilities and were ready to exploit them. And along came Microsoft with an update to their software. And this is Patch My PC. And if you love the black background, that's for you. And I went in here and it says, oh, thank you so much for stopping by, Judy, but everything is up to date. And I said, thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that. I have it set up to work automatically. You cannot do that. You can do it yourself. You don't get to see much other than the out-of-date programs at the top, and it said you want to update all of these, and you shake your head and then remember they can't see you, and you click yes, and then you go and do your thing. Whatever you were doing, there's no degradation of anything while they are updating in the background. And that's what apparently it does it every night at 7 o'clock. And thank you very much. I don't know that because it's not slowing anything down, whatever. And these are the choices you can make. It's just the slider things. And you can use it as an uninstaller. Windows has an uninstaller. My only problem with that is one time, and I love it, she's my computer kid, and she says, will you, so I was over at her house, and she says, will you uninstall blah, blah, blah? Sure, no big deal. And so I did, and she comes home, and she turns her computer on, and up pops, hey, we're looking for, fill in the blank for whatever the name of the program was that I had just uninstalled using the Windows uninstaller. Well, I thought this was pretty funny, and I thought to myself, gotcha, but I'm sorry I didn't do it on purpose. And so I had to find, this didn't exist then, I had to find an uninstall program, Revo, I believe, that finally found the one piece that Windows hadn't found. So you might want to use this as your uninstaller. And I love this because down in my lower left, well, everybody's lower left-hand corner is a search box. And I just, what did I put in? I put uninstall. And as I was updating this, I came and I thought this was Windows. And it just included itself. And oh, she typed in uninstall. Let me show her this. And the Windows 10 is updated as of 12:55 p.m. today. And Windows 11 is still bugging me. And I haven't updated yet because I really like Windows 10. And I taught tech classes to seniors for 22 years through adult ed at our high school. And Windows 11 would probably have been the most difficult operating system because you don't have the drop downs at the top anymore. So you have no really frame of reference. And if you're walking in off the street, you can't say, well, click here and look at the options you have. And so many of the options have been renamed and are attached to something else. And the name that they chose really doesn't make too much sense to us that have been using this kind of stuff for 16,000 years. And I've been holding off because, like I said, I really like Windows 10, but I'm about ready to bite the bullet and go. I do have a laptop with it on, but still, for me to keep working as fast as I do, it's going to take me a while to get up to speed with 11. And I tell everybody that upgrades, they go, oh, Lord, I'll never be able to find anything. Use your search down in the lower left-hand corner. Over time, you will find out where everything is. But don't take time clicking here and clicking there and looking for it. Just search for it, and with update, this will pop up. You need to back up. We say this all the time. APCUG celebrates every single March as backup month. And our Wednesday workshops on the second, third, and fourth Wednesdays, Linux is the third Wednesday, we talk about backup because there are still so many even people that belong to APCUG groups. They don't back up. Well, it's not ever going to happen to me. I don't want to take the time. I'm here to tell you, hard drives don't last forever. Don't say it's not going to happen to me, because it can. And if you do not have a backup, everything is gone and you cannot get it back. Southwest Tech Conference, I had all the information on my computer, the register, everything. And I had my brainstorming duo. Well, he had a tech business, and I called him one day and I said, hey, Jerry, my computer's making grinding noises. He says, turn it off, turn it back on, and hold the receiver down there so I can hear it. And I did, and I thought, well, this is weird. And he says, oh, Judy, your hard drive is dying. He said, do you back up? And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I do. And he said, that's good, but would you please go buy another hard drive and I'll talk you through putting it in. If I had not backed up, I would have had to cancel the conference, return everybody's money, and we would have been in debt to our hotel, the Town and Country, for several $100s that I would have had to pay. So back up, it's important. And that happened to me twice, which, is really crummy. And where it says hard drives don't last forever, my oldest daughter's husband said, I need a new hard drive. Would you please get me one? And I thought, well, okay, yeah, in my spare time. And bear in mind, I was still working and all that good kind of stuff. And I did. And we had it put in. And this was in January. And in June, he says, I'm going to go up to Santa Barbara, UC Santa Barbara, and run the CATA camp, which is for the Associated Student Body Officers to learn how to run that piece of what they do with the high school. He says, but I'm having problems with my hard drive. Would you get me a new one? And I thought, January? Isn't that just 6 months later? So I called HP and the gal said, oh yeah, we've had trouble with that one. Just send it back to us and we'll send you a new one. And I thought, you really sold all those crummy hard drives? And, she said, well, kind of, yes, we did. So it doesn't make any difference how old your hard drive is. Data, most important part of your computer. If nothing else, back up your data. People say, make an image of the whole thing. Well, when I taught school, every time the operating system changed, I treated myself to a new computer. But they'll say, make an image. You don't know how to make an image backup? Talk about that at one of your little SIG meetings like this. What do you do? How do you do it? Why is it important? Where does it go? Etc. Just in case. It's the suspenders and belt theory, that you have your data and your image. You just buy a new hard drive, install it, and move everything over from your wherever you saved your image, and you're up and running. Or you can do like I do and go out and buy a new computer and just install the data. So your choice, but you need to do one or the other. You could set it up and use the backup that comes along with your operating system. I have, and there's 3 backups you need to have. Well, you have your hard drive, you have an external hard drive, I have an SSD, and then I have a cloud backup. And so I prefer to use the old, don't laugh, Windows 7 backup feature that still exists out there. And it's super simple to set up, and it backs up every single day. I did every single day because I was making, handouts, didn't teach to a book. I taught to my handouts with a screenshot and then instructions on how to do whatever we had talked about at class. First Monday night, they went home with 30 handouts. That was the start of their quote book. And that's on my SSD. And it's just a super simple thing, and it just does its thing. And I thank it very much. If you are backing up, or when you back up, you need to make a dummy document, like something that's got a huge font and every other word is a different color, and you give it this really weird name, and then it backs up. Wait a couple of days and then go look for it on, if you're using an SSD, just to double check that it's actually working and backing up. Don't say, oh yeah, I'm sure, no problem, I'm backing up. Double check it. Would you trust your kids to go out and play when it's getting dark? Probably not. This is double checking to make sure your kids are in the house when it's dark and your hard drive is actually doing what it is supposed to do in conjunction with your backup program. And again, you can set it up there. You can decide how long do you want to keep your documents. I only need in real life the actual document that I'm working on, that I am backing up. Other people like to use a version system. If I want to make a new version of a document, I will give it a -1 or a -2. I only really, that's my versioning system. Choose what you want to do. And you can do it every 3 hours, every 10 minutes, you choose. I just did it once a day. And this was back in the day when I had my Toshiba SSD, and off we went. Windows 11 process is mentally the same, but the steps are different. And with this, chosen every Sunday at 7 p.m. Works for me. I have no clue what I am doing at 7 p.m. every Sunday, but whether I'm on the computer, eating dinner, not home, whatever, my computer is doing its thing and it's backing up. And again, you are going to double check that. Now, if you don't want to use the old-fashioned Windows 7 for your files and folders, then you can get a free program and download it and use that. You can buy a backup program and install it and use that, your choice. But please back up. A lot of people use EasyUs, the free one. And you'll notice I still have Acronis up there. Acronis has supported APCUG, I think, almost since Gene Barlow left IBM and started his user group program. This year, it's gone. He is no longer selling it. He and Linda aren't, but I left it up there just for history's sake. Macrium Reflect used to be free. Computer Club members really like things that are free or on sale at a maximum of $19.99 from, I did 23 years worth of conferences, so you kind of realize that over time. But they will pay for Macrium Reflect. They think so highly of it. And we've had, at our Wednesday workshops, we've had a couple of presentations on that. And I don't know why, but they think it's the cat's meow. But again, this is the kind of stuff you want to talk to your members about. What do you guys use? Is it working? Do you like it? Is it easy? Like it says, easiest. If you are looking for ease of access, you want to hear from the people who say, no sweat, I just install it. Easy to set up, no biggie. That might be what the program you're looking for. You don't want to be hassled. You don't want to have to think too much. You just want it to do its thing. Google One, we all have storage with Google. We get 15 gigabytes for free. And if you'd like to get more, you can pay for it. Your choice. Many people, that is their backup program. And they're happy campers. There's iDrive, 5 terabyte. They have a special. Right now, 5 terabytes, $4.98. After that, it's $99 a year. And I get a pop-up that says, oh, by the way, Judy, make sure your credit card's okay because it's time to pay again. I do that because, I don't have to think about it. I know it's doing its job. Now, if you say, oh, okay, I think I'm going to give iDrive a chance. What do? Well, you pick up the phone and you call them. I always like to talk to people. And they will send you an SSD drive. You can back whatever you want to up on that SSD drive. And then you send it to them and they will start your initial backup file for you. Otherwise, you're going to be, there's going to be communication from you to iDrive in Alabama, and yours would be across the states. And it's no telling how long it would take. But no, send them the SS3, everything's free, and they will start your account. And then when you plug it in, it will back up whatever you have changed or new since you started the process. And I don't know if other backup folks do that. And nobody has said, hey, Judy, mine does that when I've given a presentation. But again, backup. If I haven't drilled that into your brain enough, when you go to bed tonight, the last thing you're going to think of is, oh, shoot, that lady told me I needed a backup. pCloud. A lot of people are going to Proton Mail and pCloud. They are over in Switzerland, and they do not give a darn about who you are, where you are, what you're doing, or whatever. The APCUG member group folks that have gone to this, they are ecstatic about the email, about the storage, the whole 9 yards. So you might want to look into that. Dropbox has been around for 1,000 years. Of all these, it's the most expensive usually, but people have used it, and apparently it is tried and true for them. Or, others in your group use other forms of cloud backup. So Carbonite. One of my members used Carbonite. He swore by it. Moved to Chicago. About a month or so later, he said, I love Carbonite. And I thought, oh, yeah, he kept talking about that. Well, I just talked about iDrive. And he said, it has gotten so very, very slow. I'm going to start using something else. That's all it took. He wanted ease of access. He wanted it to be fast. He didn't want it to be slowed down. He didn't know, and he was quite techy. So obviously the slowdown didn't concern him, but it was enough to make him go someplace else. So you want to find that out from your members, what their experience is. And do you know the basic thing of how to create a restore point? And if you go, what in the world is she talking about? Then you need to have somebody demo it slowly but surely and give you a handout on it, because before you ever start doing any work on your computer, before you download a new app, whether it's free, whether you paid for it, you are going to create a restore point that says, hey, my computer is working perfectly right now at whatever time, in 4:48, 4:44 on May 13th. And then I start installing something. And if there's a glitch, if I muck up and it's my fault, I can go back to the restore point and put everything back the way it was. No harm, no foul. Easy peasy thing to do. Give it a name that you're going to recognize. Back in the day, restore points were created automatically for us, and I guess they didn't want us to do that. But do, please, before preventive maintenance, download anything. And if your best friend, your favorite relative comes over and says, hi, I really need to check my email. Is it okay? And you are going to say, of course it is. Will you give me a few minutes? And you're going to go to wherever your computer is, and you are going to create a restore point just in case. Computer Daughter's mother-in-law came out. She used to be the head guy's secretary at Bendix in California. You'd think she'd know about computers. So she didn't think about it, and her mother didn't at the time either. And she was there, and she used it on and off for a couple of days. And when she left, when she started, there was a daughter account and a son-in-law account, because she used it like crazy. He didn't hardly use it at all. He only needed access to a couple of things, so she made it super simple. Her account was gone. And we have no clue what the gal did, the mother-in-law did, but Stacy's, shortcuts and special things that she had on her boot up routine didn't exist anymore. So again, take that short time and create a restore point, comma, just in case. We all learned a lesson at our house after that. Update your software. Windows 10 people, oh, come on, every once in a while we'll get something. Windows 11, yours are kind of more critical right now. Do you have them set up to automatically download? I didn't. I always wanted to wait a week or so, because you'd hear all these crabs and complaints. Oh, my printer doesn't work with it. Oh, it messed this up. And I thought, I don't want to go through that. So I chose not to do it instantly. And again, make sure your Office suite is getting updated. But please, if you don't have automatic updates and install, don't forget to install them. My oldest grandson, who is now 28, he was my techie. He had a computer at Grammy's house when he was 6. And he was creating zoos and all museum and all this kind of stuff with Microsoft, the kids' games that he didn't know they were games. And then his brother got, another computer next to his. So there was me and 2 kids. And my very knowledgeable techie person is now in construction. He got the first construction degree at our local JC. And he called me one day and he says, hey, Grammy, something's wrong with my computer. And I went over there, and he had turned off, for some reason only known to him, automatic install. And there they were, all backed up. And I thought, oh, you nit. I thought you were the one who knew everything. So please, and then take the time. Everything needs to be restarted. They need to say, hi, welcome. You're new to the hard drive. Glad to see you. But to get it going and get it integrated and get it ready to go, don't forget to restart. You don't have to shut down. You can just restart. But please don't forget that. That's what the kid had turned off just for grins. So you have active hours. I hope you all have your active hours set up, because I would get calls from people, this computer keeps installing the updates right in when I'm working on an important document. And we'd go through, have you set up your active hours? And they'd go, duh, forgot about that. Well, luckily I had given them a handout. So have your updates come in when you're in bed, asleep, or I don't work on my computer on Saturdays. So set the time that you want the updates to do its thing, but make sure you have, everything ready to go. And just change them. And all you need, and you say, I wonder where that is. Well, in that search box down there, just type in change active hours, and this screen comes up, and it says you can set them up however you want. But of course, our friend Microsoft is looking over our shoulder at all times and knows probably when we are using our computers or not. So my computer says your current active hours are 9 a.m. to 3 a.m. I am on the computer sometimes up to 3 a.m. longer. So those are my active hours. I fixed mine personally. Microsoft thinks I needed them from 5 to 10. I didn't agree with them. So you can go in and change it whatever length of time you want. And I get this all the time. My Windows 11 says, hi, we've been here since we've been upgrading to 11. Why are you lagging? And I'm just not ready. I don't want to take the leap because I love the familiarity, but that's me. I recommend everybody upgrade to 11 now. Don't wait until it dies in October, so to speak. Are you one who says, oh my Lord, it takes so long for my computer to turn on? And that's what boot up is, if you don't know that. And that's because you haven't been checking those check boxes and you've got extra programs on there. You can use Task Manager to disable them. You only disable them. Every time I use Microsoft Teams, I find it in my start. I know automatically to go in and you can remove it or you can disable it. And your choice, but I don't need to start Teams because I don't use it. I use Zoom. It's only somebody in the government that uses Teams. And the least things that start up, the faster your computer is going to start up. And to reach it, back in the day, we just knew Control Alt plus Delete. And there's what they look like on the right. And you want to go into startup and you can see I've disabled some, I've got enabled, whatever. My choice, Microsoft to do, forget about it, it's disabled. So anything that I wouldn't use in this or any other lifetime, I disable. Is it still there for me? Oh yeah. If I decided that one of these is the cat's meow and I really want to start using it, I just go in here and enable it. Windows 10 and 11, it's the ever popular slider bars. But again, you need to customize it yourself. And you can. Restart your computer at least once a week. Bob Gasicha, I'm sure he's given your group presentation or two. He does it once a week. He's got several computers. He unplugs from the internet, so there's nothing new coming in. And on Friday, when he's getting ready to go to bed, he starts his backup programs. When he gets up on Saturday, everything is backed up beautifully. And then he goes out to the internet again. Okay? That's his system. And it works for him. It's worked for him for eons. But, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be backing up. Well, set a schedule so you don't have to think about it anymore. installing, things, make sure that, again, set a schedule. It's up to you. And feel free to use Restart. Back in the day, we all did shut down. Oh my goodness, we had to shut down. You don't really, because Restart has cleaned everything up that needs to be cleaned up and everything is new and fresh. So unless you are going away, just use Restart. And we spend money to maintain our car, keep it in tip-top shape. We clean our closet, maybe. We also need to clean our hard drives. We can use 10 or 11 processes. That might be the thing for you. If you're a CCleaner fan, you can use CCleaner. And please do not forget about cleaning, spiffing up your smartphone and your tablet. They are accumulating yucky stuff just like everything else does. And a lot of it you will never need again. You probably didn't need it in the first place, but you have your Brookie's one of the people that, she and I've forgotten the gentleman's name, are giving a presentation coming up, as well as your editor, who can't give a presentation at a Wednesday workshop because he's doing something else, which is sad. But keep those up to date too. They're just another piece of technology that you use. In fact, you might not even use a computer anymore. You might just use your smartphone. So again, you can, when you uninstall, they are in alphabetical order. And you say, thank you very much for that. But like when I was working on Tyler's computer, I thought, I am going to be around here for 16,000 years. And he had to sit there because I would go through the alpha order and say, is this one of the programs? And he'd say, yes. And then all of a sudden the light bulb went on and it said, Judy, remember, you can sort your installed programs by date. And with that, I said, okay, let's look and see what date you did that stupid thing. And he was playing Steam related games, and all the stuff was downloading in the background. And he theoretically didn't know about it. And you can see it was back in 2018, 10 years ago for him. Yeah, 28, because he's 28 now. And it was so much easier for me to just get rid of everything when I remembered, oh yeah, I can sort by date. So if you have something like that, sort by date. This is the old way we used to do our disk cleanup. We did this faithfully. We right-clicked on the C drive, we clicked on disk cleanup, and we waited for that little green bar over there to chug its way all the way across. We did all of this stuff in my class, and that little green bar went because every night the computers went back to the state where nothing had been done to them at night when I was there. But you could choose by the check boxes what you wanted to get rid of. And the box on the right is what threw the students. Permanently delete these files. Oh my gosh, that was such a dramatic step for them. But we had gone through and they had a list. If there were apps on there, whatever those things were, and they didn't know what it was, they knew to highlight them and get the description. They can then take the name, they could go out on Google and Google it, or they could wait until next week's class and come in and say, I just really couldn't do that for this one thing. And we talk about it. Okay. So now use Storage Sense. It's in settings, system storage. And what are you doing? You're freeing up space, of course. And you just follow the steps on what you want to do. Do you want to use it or not? I like to do my own cleaning, so my little note is over there. But this is automatic. You set the time that it happens in the background. You have no idea that there's something else going on. You're just working along with no problem. You got to go through the list, figure out what it is you don't need anymore. If you don't know what's the Windows upgrade log files, ask somebody, Google it. Google's your friend. John Kennedy would say, come on, tell them DuckDuckGo is your friend. So what I want to free up, if I removed the crummy files, I'd only get 3 almost 4 gigs back. So, and this tells you exactly, this is what you're going to get: free space on your hard drive. So some of these are no-brainers, and you might think DirectX shader. Well, it gives you a little description there. And then you decide, I picked up 53.5 gigabytes that I am going to get free on my hard drive, and I'm going to be brave. And up there's that word permanently again, and I'm going to remove the files. Now, if you are finished with this and you go, oh Lord, I didn't mean to fill in the blank, get rid of, well, you've got a backup. You've got your SSD by your side. You've got a cloud backup, and when all else fails, you could get a document or two back. Okay. Windows 11, instructions are there, does the same thing, just has different words, different look. And you need to, the one thing that I would always remember Bill Gates talking about, because back in the day, APCUG had a conference during Comdex, which was in November. And Bill Gates used to come to our, where we were at whatever hotel, and we'd book the auditorium or a large room, and he'd come and just sit around and talk with us. And I can hear him saying one time, and he said, you know, your hard drive is just like your file cabinet. And with that, there happened to be a file cabinet where he was sitting. He threw his hand out and banged the side of it. How about getting that installed in your head? I did that every single time at school that I talked about this. And I thought these seniors are going to remember your hard drive is like your file cabinet. If you worked, you knew how you had your file cabinet organized, and yet you can't find anything on your hard drive. So think about organizing your hard drive however your brain works. I will call somebody and we'll be chatting about something, and I'll say, you know, I sent you that on fill in the blank. And he starts looking for it. And I start twiddling my thumbs. And I say, you know, if you just kind of type the name in, yeah, I know. And we waste so much time while he looks for us. And I worked in the legal department, and my documents were like my, file cabinets, so to speak. And we were involved in a lawsuit with Cardinal Health that wanted to buy our nuclear management company, nuclear pharmaceutical company. And the DOJ, they were not fun to work with, got in touch, and they would say, we need all the information about blah, blah, blah. Emails, documents. Well, I had my inbox the same way in my email program. They would be on their desks theoretically the next day. 3-hour difference. I was still at work. I would have stayed even if I was end of day. They never could figure, they said they had never worked with anybody who got them what they asked for so fast. And I thought, that's because in my head, it's my file cabinet where I would just turn around and pick up a Pentaflex folder that would have everything with subfolders that I needed. The same with my email. But, the email was all electronic, and I just photocopied quickly, or had one of the admins photocopy what I needed to overnight to them. And I just got the biggest kick, because to me, it's the way it should be. So if you just have one folder where everything is, you need to think about what would make it easier and faster for you to be able to find things. And again, everybody's different. Golden Oak, that was my adult school. Articles to Go, Push, Computer Club, everything with APCUG, the new website, anything pertaining to apcug2.org is there. All the calendars I need for anything, whether it's the Wednesday workshops, my personal calendar, whatever, and so on and so on. That's the way my brain goes. As we say at the Wednesday workshops, Judy is a visual person. I don't do numbers, I do visual. Works for me. And under my Golden Oak, here was every single class I taught. Anything about the classes, what was going on. Goodwill, they wanted me to teach some classes there for their people who were going to be able to look for jobs. And I love jazz, and we sponsored the local jazz band. But anyway, this is what made it. And then here are the handouts, one level down. If I wanted to talk about Google Maps, I had a handout. And I would always make sure that if it needed to be updated, I updated it so very easily. But again, it's how your head works. And don't let somebody tell you you need to do it this way, because you don't. You only need to do what makes sense to you, and do the same thing with your email. Here's every year we have contests. Well, these are from 2020, so that tells me there you go. And this happened to be the digital photo. So when somebody submitted digital photos under the altered images category, that was cool. I would thank them, and then I would move all those right over there with the emails. So when it came time to getting the information to the judges, I didn't have to go through my entire inbox. Everything was there. That's what made sense to me. You know all this, you need to protect yourself from malware. If you don't kind of know what it is, you might want to go to AV Comparatives over in Europe. A lot of people think this is the greatest place to find out what is going. I don't know if there's people there that know about the Smart Computing magazine. It's always so much fun. They were always at the conference. And they had absolutely no ads in their newspaper. And it was not a hard copy, but it was a news magazine. And so they were not beholden to anybody. So we all felt if we read a review in Smart Computing, it was true scoop. You wouldn't flip over 2 or 3 pages and then find a full page ad for whatever software the review was on. AV Comparatives is the same way. They don't care who you are, what you do, whatever. And they test for a long time. Microsoft never submitted Windows Defender. And then when it got better, and sometimes Windows Defender comes out on top, and they tell you why, what they tested, blah, blah, blah. So if your head is oriented that way to dig deep, check out AV Comparatives. And this is kind of stuff that you can take a look at and see who's on top, why. And you look at the ads and maybe PC Mag, and everything that PC Mag thinks is the cat's meow is like in the middle of the list or whatever. Okay, I got graphs. My last thing is, you guys probably haven't heard of Steve Gibson. Oh, I don't have his name there. And he has been involved with computer clubs and technology for years. I mean, we're talking years. He used to come to the hospital. We've been around since 1987 and give talks and everything. So he has a company called Shields Up. And he lets you check your firewall to find out if you've got any open ports. I did this at the high school. At each high school where I taught at all of them except for the one down at the bottom of my hill. And there was always an open port. I knew more than the people that were getting paid by the high school. And they wouldn't have known an open port if, well, they were getting paid and didn't know. Finally, I'd call every year and say, you know, the XYZ port is open. And I could show that to the students because we were all doing this. We all had the same open port as we were on the network. They finally hired somebody who knew what I was talking about and closed it. But if you're interested in if your router is open to the internet, you know, go to grc.com. You can trust them. You click and read the stuff and everything. And if you want to check it out, you click on that golden, that's UCLA colors. That's where my daughter works. And look at that. It says your equipment is at IP. It's now being queried. Oh, look at that green down there. The ID did not respond to our probes. Congratulations, you have no open ports. It's just one other safety measure to take. You know about the passwords. Do you know that now they're up to at least 16 characters? We had an FTC presentation, and right out of the mouth of one of the employees, he said, you know, we're up to 16 characters now. You really need to have that many. And I thought, good Lord. First it was 8, then it was 12, and they skipped 14 and went to that. And then they said, use a passphrase. And I love, if you remember Edward Snowden, who can't come back to the US or he'd be in jail forever. And his comment was, after he stole everything, that if the government had used passphrases, I could not have gotten any of the information. And we just had a really excellent presentation. We're up to passkeys now. Okay. So keep up to date, make your security use good. People say, oh, yucky, yucky, yucky. 2FA takes me another step. Use it. You still keep them in a binder, an address book? Please choose a password manager. Again, this is discussion with your members. What password manager are you using? Mine is easy. I'm looking for something that is intuitive. I need to be able to look at something and figure it out myself. I taught for, over 20 years, no book. I had my own book I put together. I don't learn from books. I'm a touchy-feely, hearing, visual, whole 9 yards learner. And if I can't instantly intuit it, I move on. So talk to your members, find out what everybody's using. How good is it? And if you have not gone to Have I Been Pwned, would you please do that? Again, it is safe. He works with the FBI now. He's a Microsoft, employee from 1,000 years ago. And put in your passwords one at a time and find out when they've been absconded with. You'll say, oh, never. No, not me. Yes, they have. You will be surprised. My oldest daughter's husband, we went to their house for 4th of July every single year. They had the best view of the fireworks at the city. And one year he didn't send emails. He got this app. And when I demoed this, that app had stolen my email address and kept it. And I told him, I said, how could you do that? Oh, and I'd love to have somebody to blame. And he said, well, that was the only time I used it. And I thought, not good enough for me. So just for grins, check it out and be prepared. I have not had my passwords absconded with for a gazillion years now. That was years and years ago. And I've tightened everything up so much, nobody's getting anything. Check out your VPN. Definitely use it at Starbucks. And then I have a whole bunch of keyboard shortcuts because I love keyboard shortcuts. And I am finished. Does anybody have any questions? Something that you use that you think is the cat's meow and you would like to share it with us? Did anybody learn anything new, or did you all just wake up?
Judy, I have a question.
Has there been music running in the background? And if there was, I hope it's jazz. Yes, ask away.
Okay, you said use a password manager?
Yes.
Okay, what one would you recommend?
Okay, Brookie, what password manager do you use?
I think Brookie's off for right now.
Bitwarden.
Bitwarden.
Okay.
Ben, which one do you use?
That's what my daughter just started me on.
Unfortunately, I don't use one yet.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Jody,
Bye.
what password manager do you use? What password manager do you use?
Who, me?
Yeah, your name is Joe Dietz.
Oh, yep. Well, I have a Word document that has all my passwords in it. And it's passworded, passcoded, and it's in my phone. So I don't use one.
Okay, gee, you guys are really bad. I have one gal who I moved her up to a Windows 11 computer, and she had beautiful ones, and they were a Word document, and the title of the document was passwords. Made me
I'll
laugh.
do
I
that.
thought that was cute. She has no scope about technology, and I did change that for her. But she uses nursery rhymes. The titles of nursery rhymes are all of her password, and I don't know how she remembers all those nursery rhymes affiliated with this. I think it is so cool. I no more could do that than fly to the moon. But for those of you who don't use passwords, don't use a password manager, you really need to have somebody give you a presentation on it and why it's critical in this day and age that you do use a password manager. Try coming up with 16 characters for a new password, and then you need another password for another thing, and you got to come up with 16 characters again if you want to be really safe. And then you don't have to worry about where they are. You don't have to remember them, because when you go to the website or whatever and you're there, the password and everything automatically pops up from your password manager. Bitwarden, the Brookie uses, is very popular among APCUG member groups. They used to use LastPass. LastPass has been hacked one too many times. And everybody loved LastPass. That was free. What can I tell you? And Bitwarden is free. And LastPass, the last time they got hacked, they actually got into people's accounts and got their passwords. You don't want your passwords at LastPass. So all the APCUG people went, we're all going to Bitwarden. And off they went, and they transferred things over seamlessly. And they've been using it ever since. It is open source. You've had presentations by John Kennedy. His name is Free John because he doesn't pay for anything, except for now he pays for Proton. And he, loved Bitwarden again because it's open source. So no more questions?
I have a question.
Hey, Brenda.
You said something about create a restore point. And how do you do that?
Okay, who's the leader of this special interest group?
And Rice.
Rookie.
Can I speak up?
Anybody can speak up.
I covered restore points probably a year and a half ago in this SIG.
Okay, you're gonna need to do it again. Mike, will you do that?
A lot of what you covered tonight, I've done it. I've been in charge of the SIG for the past, 10 years? And a lot of what you talked about tonight are topics I talked about in my SIG, in this SIG for Windows.
Yep, and that's what I said at the beginning. This is a reminder.
Yep.
You've heard this, you should be doing this. And look at you guys, the password question. Every single person should have said, this is the one I use. Yes, no, I haven't started using one yet, but you scared the out of me. And I will now find out how to use one. That is critical, and I am shocked. You have not been listening to Mike, and you should. But again, he's Mike and I'm me. I'm the new kid on the block. So you might have been listening to me. That's how it happens. He can say something 13 times, and I'm just this interloper from SoCal and so on. So I hope you get handouts. We still like paper in our hot little hand. I would go to my students' houses and they need work on their computer, and there would be the Peachy folder. And they say, I keep those right here. And there was a Peachy folder for each of the 12 classes I taught. And they used it as a reference because there were screenshots So when they had to do, they couldn't remember everything we learned. And remember, I'm a visual person. I love having something I can refer to because my brain is 85 years old of junk. And I would love to be able to figure out, can I just pull this out so I have more room for new tech stuff? Because I'm still into learning something new about tech every single day. So you guys need to get up to speed with, because I don't want to hear that, oh my gosh, my hard drive crashed. I lost all the pictures of all my grandkids, gone. I've lost all the pictures of all my kids, gone. Never to be gotten back again. Or you don't care, you don't want to see them, so it doesn't make any difference.
I'd like to just throw an idea out there, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
This is Joe Halleck. I've taught over at CKCS in Lexington recently and found out that Microsoft is no longer supporting Windows 10 in October.
Mm-hmm. I hope you have a presentation scheduled.
Yes, well, one of the things I became aware of was that it's very easy to make a current version of Windows 10 startup disk on a USB drive, but you need to have one at least 8 gigabytes of space with nothing else on it. And if push comes to shove and you have to restore or even install on another computer the version of Windows you like, Windows 10 for instance, you can do it from that thumb drive as long as you do it before they quit supporting it.
Mm-hmm.
They will let you remain supported for like $30 a year, I think, if you want to do that.
But bear in mind, you don't want to go out to the internet on anything
No,
with Windows
Well-
10 because they're not going to be sending you security updates. They might be charging you, but they're not going to be sending you stuff that needs to be fixed because they're not supporting it anymore. But
That's
they will
right.
let you use it.
well, it's still possible. And I've got this particular computer and won't run Windows 11. I've already checked. And so I'm going to make a USB backup disk to reinstall Windows if I need to on this machine if something happens to its copy, so I can restore the operating system. Data files are entirely different.
Mm-hmm. Well, data files, you can open them with Google Docs, work on them and save them as a Google Doc or save them as a Word.
Right. And if you-
LibreOffice Writer, the same thing. You don't
Sure.
have to pay for Office. You can use open
That's true.
source Writer and it's exactly the same thing. I could use all that, except I don't understand their PowerPoint and Google Docs PowerPoint doesn't do enough for me. But there's alternates out there that don't cost anything. But again, do you want to gimmick around? I'm giving up the Ghost and I'm giving up 10 and going to 11. And just because if I had been teaching school still, I would have been on 11 as the minute it came out, because I would be getting questions from students.
Sure.
And I have to be up to date on that. Well, I'm teaching, so I don't. But you be careful. Make sure that you keep your security programs up to date. Don't go out on the internet if it's not up to date in any way, shape, or form, because the bad actors are just waiting for you to open up something so they can come in and do their thing, tippy-toe around and take stuff or do whatever they do. But Mike's been doing this, and I hope that he features like next month, Restore Point. And that, I mean, I will send the presentation to Ben, and he can do as a PDF, and there are instructions in there on how to create a Restore Point. Or you can Google it. What I always look for, if you can get to Microsoft, they will have steps. First you do this, then you do that, then you do this, then you do that. And with Microsoft help, you'll get the numbered steps where you know exactly what to do. Because for your safety, you need to know this kind of stuff.
Sure. By the way, Publisher will be dropped for Microsoft Office in October as well.
Yes, and I did my groups back in the day newsletter in WordPerfect and then segged to Word. And you know, when you save it as a PDF, nobody can tell the program that you used. And slowly but surely, I convinced editors because groups would say our editor left. Nobody wants to use Publisher. I wouldn't want to learn Publisher. Use it once a month. So I'd suggest that. No. Oh, no. And works perfectly. I mean, oh my God, your newsletter editor is the best thing that ever came down the pike. As far as I'm concerned, he is. But that's what he did in the world. The rest of us don't know how to do that kind of stuff. Are we finished? And Mike's going to show you, give you a live demo of how to do Restore Point. What I recommend is everybody use your computer. Don't use your phone. Attend the Zoom meeting. And when he says, okay, guys, everybody type Restore Point in the lower left-hand corner search box and shows you what you should have. Let's do it all together. Because
So
if
Mike,
you
I
do
think
this
you already have
and
a
this and
handout.
this, you're going to remember it. And I have people at Wednesday workshop say, somebody will do something on digital editing and they said, I kept with it. Oh my gosh, it was absolutely fantastic. I just sat there with my phone and did what the presenter was telling me to do. And they just get so excited about that. And nobody thinks about that. Because that's what we did in class. Everybody had a computer and they all did what I did. I showed them how to do it on the screen. And then I talked them through everybody doing. And depending upon how quick they were, they could do it 2 or 3 times. Well, slower people were still figuring out what to do. So think about, we might be old and people might think whatever, but anything we can do to help us remember is fantastic.
Thank you, Judy.
And don't forget, figure out how do you work with your sound, Ben.
Right.
Make it easier, make it a better experience for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on because we used that laptop yesterday for a meeting, but something happened between last night and tonight, so we'll work on that.
Oh, no,
Thank you.
it worked yesterday. I'm sorry. I can't give you my presentation. It doesn't work today. That happens all the time. For other groups or for individual people, it worked yesterday. I have no idea. Now, Brookie, do you have an end of life presentation scheduled?
No, we don't.
You need to schedule it.
Okay.
I mean, you need to let your people know, and I love it. End of life, that's for dead people, but they're going to be dead computers, according to Microsoft. And my thing was, I figured the hardware the folks weren't buying enough computers, and so they asked Microsoft to create an operating system that was new enough, and with the BIOS change, that people would have to buy new computers, so Microsoft would get more money. But that's just my conspiracy theory.
I understand.
Okay, I see you like that, Mike, so that works for you.
Oh, I agree with you. I really do. I mean, they spent all
figured
these years and we didn't have to buy new equipment as long as.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I know
Yeah.
people. Somebody at the Durham group in Canada is still using Windows 7. I'm proud of it.
Yeah. We got some members still using Windows 7. And what XP, I know, so.
Well, Judy, thank you so much. We appreciate it. That was great.
Thank
Alrighty.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.